So I'm here. There's no one here yet, but I'm just gonna wait around a little bit to see if anyone joins. And hey, hello. Hi, Lewis. Hi. I am hopping on, just doing a live. Wanted to kind of talk about stress right now and stress during the application cycle. Wanted to kind of just hop on and answer any questions folks had. Trisha and I, we do the formal office hours once a month, but we also wanted to kind of just hop in for a few minutes throughout the week and have a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, just if anyone had questions at any point, just feel free to hop in and say hello and let us know what questions you have. Hey, Cherish, what's up? Thanks for joining. I was just saying that we are going to talk a little bit about managing stress, and I'm going to talk about some mental health tips. So going to talk about that for about 5-10 minutes, nothing too long, but really just wanted to be able to give you guys some tips to really think about some ways to realistically manage stress, because to say that there's not going to be stress in applying to med school, like I would be lying to you. The whole thing's stressful, and I'm honestly like waiting for the point when the stress stops. So really just want to get you guys to the point of being able to thrive throughout this process. Hey, yours truly, thanks for joining. Let me know how you guys are doing. If you're applying this cycle, where are you at in the process? How are you feeling? Are you getting close to submitting? How are your personal statements coming along? Kind of just let me know. Leave a comment below and just let me know. Let's chat. And I'll start. I have just really like a few tips. There are 4 tips that I have to help manage stress and to protect your mental health when you're applying to medical school. So maybe in about 2 minutes or so, I'll start going over those. So if you guys have questions, just kind of let me know how you're doing. Talk to me. Yeah, on my end, just some updates. So I started PGY 2-year last week, which is crazy. So I was on a 10-day vacation, and the vacation, if you follow me, I am Atasha Jordan, that's just my name, at Atasha Jordan. I went hiking, beautiful hiking in New York, so you can check that out to see that. But I've started my PGY 2-year just last week, and honestly it's been going really great so far. I mentioned that it can be stressful, like the whole process of going into medicine, but I'm at a point now where it's like, okay, I feel a little bit more comfortable, like maybe where people say like it gets better, I'm like, oh, maybe this is where it actually starts to get better. Lewis, you said you're applying next cycle, currently studying for the MCAT, but already feeling the stress. Yo, I feel you. Like the MCAT is probably one of the most stressful parts, if not the most stressful parts of like the whole process, because sometimes it feels like your whole experience of getting into med school and the whole chances that you have are based on that one test, which is not the case. Like it's not the case that the MCAT is going to be the absolute thing to keep you out of a med school. So yes, obviously it's important, and the better you do on it, the better your score, better your chances of getting into, let's say, a more competitive program or even getting some scholarships. But at the end of the day, as long as you do your best, at least that's my mantra, as long as I can say 100% that I gave my full effort, I'm okay with that. So that's the mindset that I recommend that you guys think about considering of, can you honestly say, whether it's MCAT studying, writing your personal statement, putting it all together, like are you really doing your absolute best? And if you did, wash your hands and that's it. Dry them and that's it. Like that's all you can expect of yourself, and that's all anyone could ever expect of you. Hey Missy, thanks for joining. We're just kind of doing a quick little check-in. I'm going to talk about managing stress. So Cherish, you said you're MCAT studying too. You pushed it to August, working on the personal statement. I feel you. Struggle to write, but working to get it finished. So yeah, we know. So we had the 5-day personal statement workshop a little while back. We put out the ebook to help you kind of jumpstart your personal statement. There's the free version, which is kind of like an overall outline to help you get started. And then if you wanted more detail, we have the book available on Amazon. It's 70 questions to jumpstart your medical school personal statement. And that, like, if you really are feeling stuck, like you don't know what to write, that's going to be the resource that you want to make sure you check out, because we kind of walk you through different themes that you can consider, kind of mini prompts that will help you really to get some stories onto paper that you can then incorporate into your personal statement. So yeah, totally understand all of these different aspects can be super stressful, but we want to make sure that we're giving you some tips to help manage the stress. So we have a few people on here, and I just wanted to be able to kind of go through the tips that I have for you guys. It's not super long, not going to take a ton of your time at all, but I think this can be super high yield to be able to help you guys to be able to really just think about ways that you can just make sure you're taking care of your mind, because without your mind you cannot do anything. Okay, that's one of the things I always just like try to emphasize, that mental health is the most important type of health to consider, because from your mindset and from your mental well-being is your ability to do everything else. So hey Mooney, thanks for joining. Okay, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, I can imagine, Missy, that you're feeling a little bit anxious about the MCAT results. So, and I think honestly, even some of the tips I'll talk about will be helpful with that as well. So it's really for any part of the process of applying to med school. So just jumped into it. And one more thing. So in case anyone, this is your first time joining, I think everyone's names look a little bit familiar. Hey, Mooney. But I am one half of dual degree docs. I'm Dr. Tasha. I am a second year psychiatry resident in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I work with Trisha. She is a MD MBA student at UCLA. I am an MD MBA. I graduated last year, and we work primarily to help pre-meds get into med school. We want to help you secure the MD, and that is our ultimate goal. And today, so what I'm going to hop into, hey Fatima, thanks for joining. I'm gonna just kind of hop into talking about mental health and stress management. So the first thing in this process, so especially if you're applying this cycle and you're kind of feeling like you're working up against the clock, and you know the schools are starting to receive the application soon, and they're going to be able to start processing and going through all of that. So a lot of people have been reaching out to us and saying that they feel the stress to really have to submit like right now because they feel like they're missing out. But what we always say is the best time to apply to medical school is when you are ready. So one of the things to think about how you can get there is, the first tip is to set aside dedicated days and times throughout the week for you to work on your application. Sorry about that, and let me know if there are any technical issues. It said that it's working now, but I disconnected for a hot second. But what I was saying was that the first tip is for you to set aside dedicated days and times throughout the week to work on your application, because you literally can spend all day, every day, like you literally can spend the whole day, every day working on your medical school applications. Or let's say you're studying for the MCAT, you can really spend all of your time working on these things. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna burn out in that process. You're going to feel the stress, because if you're spending all of your time working on your application, or all of your time every single day working on the MCAT, you're gonna feel stress from that. So what we recommend is, if you really are trying to find ways to kind of minimize some of that stress and the anxiety of the application process or studying for the MCAT, think about setting specific times and or days throughout the week. So let's say you are only going to work on your application Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Give yourself 2 hours each of those days to work on the application. Right now, maybe with the deadlines kind of, or feeling like you might want to submit on the sooner end, maybe let's say you're going to work on it 4 days a week, 5 days, or maybe you'll give yourself the weekend off. Whatever it is, I really want you to be able to set specific times of day so that you can give yourself the 3 hours or 2 hours or however much time in a given day to work on it. But don't just spend the whole day, because you're going to be less effective throughout the course of the day. You're going to get bored of your own personal statement. I remember I was so bored. Like, I was like, how many times I'm going to read this same personal statement? So you want to make sure that you're still like allowing yourself to feel excited about the process of working on your application. And one of the ways that you can do that is by giving yourself dedicated time periods to work on it throughout the day. Typically, how long does it take to compose a good application? Honestly, it takes a couple of months. And I say that because it takes a lot of revision. And when you think about the AMCAS bootcamp, for instance, hey, Michaela, when we went through the AMCAS bootcamp, it took us 3 hours to go through every single element of the application. And when you're thinking about what you need your biographical info, you need transcripts, you need letters of recommendation, you need your personal statement, and you need then a bunch of mini essays basically to describe all of your activities and the different extracurriculars that you were involved in. So truthfully speaking, it takes a couple of months to really be able to get all of that together in a timely fashion, but then also to do it well, because you're going to want to write it. It's going to take time to write it all. So let's say it takes a few weeks to kind of get everything done in like a first draft version, but then you're going to need multiple iterations. So in our 5-day personal statement workshop, that's one of the things we talked about. The review, revise, repeat process, that is the part that actually takes the most time. It's not actually writing your personal statement or writing the application, the activities section. It's the revision and the revising and the reviewing that actually ends up taking so much more time. So that's why you honestly, you would want to start working on your application in like April or so of the year that you plan to apply. And that will help to mitigate some of the stress, but we recognize a lot of you guys are in the middle of that right now, so that's not super helpful for you. So right now, the first tip is really just to try to set aside specific times throughout the day or specific times or days throughout the week that you'll work on your application so that you're not working on it all day, every day, and building up some of that stress. Hey, thanks for everyone who's joining. Dr. Tasha here, just kind of giving some quick tips on stress management for any part of the application process, really, of applying to medical school. So the next thing to think about, and this actually kind of goes off of the question that just got asked about how long it takes. The second tip to help manage your stress, manage anxiety in the midst of applying to medical school, I want you to create a realistic deadline of when you want to submit your application. So some of you guys have been like reaching out to us in emails, because we definitely encourage you to do that. Like when we send out our newsletters, if you're not a subscriber, make sure that you hop on our website, dualdegreedocs.com, to subscribe to our mailing list. But we really encourage you guys to talk to us. Let us know how you're doing. And some of you are trying to tell us like, oh, you want to submit your application next week, but you just started on your personal statement. That is how you create stress for yourself, okay? I'm telling you, it's taking months to put your application together, but you just started on your personal statement and you want to be able to submit by next week. That right there, when you're thinking of anxiety, thinking of stress, you're worrying about the ability to meet that expectation that you've set for yourself. So to be able to help minimize some of that stress, we want you to create realistic expectations. So let's say you are in the process of like starting your personal statement right now to apply for this cycle. Next week is not a realistic time for you to think you're going to submit your application. You have to be realistic, and honestly, it might be maybe the end of July. That might not be what you want. You might want to be able to submit a little bit sooner, but realistically, you're not going to get to the point of having a solid draft of your personal statement in a week, unless you're working on it all day, every day, which then goes against tip number 1, which said not to do that. So the first tip, set aside specific days and times for you to be able to work on your application. Second tip, have a specific and realistic timeline of when you want to complete your application altogether, keeping in mind that to submit a very strong application, it's probably going to take you a couple of months to get everything together to the point that you want it to be. So my internet is struggling, y'all. And just remember, if there are any issues with the internet, definitely just shoot me a message to let me know. I don't know why my internet's struggling. But the third tip I want to talk about in terms of stress management is I want you to continue to do the things that bring you joy. And this is actually a tip that is going to be useful for you throughout any single part of the medical journey. So as an undergraduate student, don't just like sign up for activities just because it's going to look good on your application. No, do the things that you love. So for me, I did hair, makeup, and like costume design for theater when I was in college. Not because it had anything to do with medicine, but because I loved it. And I had so much fun. I loved being like playing with people's makeup, getting to do folks' hair, like shopping through different like stores and theater stores to find costumes. Like I love that. So take that idea, and when you're thinking about minimizing stress and finding ways to protect your mental health throughout this very, very, very long journey of medicine, where you're working to secure the MD and working towards becoming a doctor, do the things you like. Remember, like, do you like to play sports? Do you read? Do you like to go on short road trips? Like, do you like to talk with your friends, hang out with your friends, go to the beach? Whatever those things are, make sure you're still doing it, because if you're feeding the parts of yourself and doing the things that bring you joy, you're then going to be able to put so much more into your application. You're going to be able to study more efficiently. You're going to be able to like still have that motivation and drive to be able to interact with folks. And trust me, yeah, like when you get to even med school, that's one of the things people often kind of fall off in med school, to forget about doing the things that they still love. You gotta make sure that when you're trying to protect your mental health and trying to minimize stress, do the things that you love. So the last thing I want to talk to you guys about, and a really great way, honestly, to be able to protect your mental health, minimize stress in this process of applying to med school, is getting a therapist. So I am a psychiatry resident. I obviously advocate for therapy 100%. I recommend therapy to every and anybody. Like, if you are breathing, you should probably have a therapist. All right, that's really how I feel about it. And particularly in high stress environments where we're talking about applying to med school, where for many of the folks that we've been working with dual degree docs, a lot of you are first generation pre-medical students. A lot of you are minorities who have never had someone like mentor you through this process, give you guidance and advice as to what needs to be done. And that can be a lot on your psyche. That can just be a lot on you, can be a lot on your family, because they have to support you too. So really consider getting a therapist. And see, Michaela, thank you. Like, I feel like, Michaela, we are always on the same page. And I think and sometimes it can be hard to find a therapist, which I think is a whole separate conversation. Yes, but hard to find a Black woman. I agree. I spent a very long time in Philly, which is surprising, like trying to find a Black therapist, but I'm glad that I found one. And I'm also so glad that you're like just being open and honest with the fact that you're finding a therapist, because as I said, I think everyone should get it. And it can be really helpful to really have someone objectively kind of walk you through this process to remind you that you're great. Remind you, like, when you're having those moments of doubt, someone who can look from the outside and say, well, remember that you got into college and you're in college on a full ride, or you are valedictorian of your school, or you have these really great grades and that you have what it takes to become an amazing doctor. Sometimes you need someone's outside perspective to be able to kind of feed that into you on the regular. And you know what? You might actually also have some underlying anxiety. I think a lot of people in medicine tend to be a little bit high strung. And, you know, like we say, there's like the type A personalities that come into medicine. And a lot of times with those expectations that we set for ourselves comes anxiety. So one of the best ways to treat anxiety is to get a therapist, because cognitive behavioral therapy, supportive psychotherapy, psychodynamic therapy, all of these wonderful treatments that therapists can give can help you as you're working towards managing stress, managing anxiety when you're applying to med school, even just as a pre-med, when you're in med school. And for me, I'm in residency. I probably at this point plan to have a therapist for the rest of my life. And I think, as I said, everyone should do that too. And needed a therapist in undergrad. Alicia, I feel you, Alicia. Like, I had one in undergrad, and it was helpful because life keeps happening. Even when you're applying to medical school, someone in your family might get ill. Right now, the whole world is ill, right? Like, we're going through this global pandemic still. We're going through what some people are calling this racial pandemic as well. So you're already dealing with something so stressful that is applying to med school with all of these other stressors on top of it. If you don't think you could use extra support, like, you have to be like some kind of superwoman, like, or Superman, because I think anyone can really get that extra support to help maintain your mental health, to help relieve stress, to help minimize stress throughout this process. So those are my 4 tips, just a quick review of the tips to be able to manage your mental health and stress. So it's setting aside specific days and times throughout the week to work on your application. 2, it is creating a realistic deadline of when you want to apply. The 3rd one is continue to do the things that you love, do the things that bring you joy. And the 4th is get a therapist if you can afford one, which unfortunately is sometimes one of the barriers. Get a therapist if you can afford one, get a therapist if you can find someone who you link up with and like you feel like your energies are syncing up. So with all of that, as I said, Trisha and I, with Dual Degree Docs, we've realized that you guys love the office hours. And though the 2 of us, in terms of our schedule, can really only we're busy. Trisha is just getting back into clerkships and doing her sub-Is in medical school, applying to medical school. I have a job. I'm a resident. And in terms of us linking up our schedules, we're going to stick to the once a month for now, at least, where we're the 2 of us together going to do office hours and kind of do the Q&A. But we want to be able to kind of hop in a little bit more frequently throughout the week. So you'll see myself, Dr. Atasha, or Trisha kind of hop on here randomly. We really won't even pre-publicize the time. It's just whenever we have time to kind of chat with you guys for a little bit, we'll do that a little bit more. So super glad that you guys joined us, and definitely wanted to let you know that if you have any additional questions, want to chat with us at any point, we are still doing one-on-ones. The one-on-ones are not just for people who are applying to med school right now. So let's say you wanted some advice on how to optimize your gap year and get the most out of it. Internet says it's back. So if you're someone who's applying in the future, but you want to know like, how do I make my schedule for the rest of college the best for me to be able to get like really good grades or take the right classes in the right order, or how do I do like the right types of activities for me during a gap year, we're happy to chat with you one-on-one about things like that, and you can find out more about it on our website, dualdegreedocs.com. And one other thing we also wanted to just make sure everyone knew about, it's been honestly awesome working with you on your personal statements, the one-on-ones that we have done already. But some of you have said you want to be able to kind of like do multiple things together. So something that we actually added onto the website just over this past weekend, we added on some new packages. So with those packages, what you're going to see is that you can actually buy a bundle of a few different products together, where you can get like personal statement, advising sessions, and personal statement editing and advising sessions bundled together with a replay of the 5-day personal statement course as well, all bundled together at a 10% discount, so that you would be able to kind of get all of those services wrapped up into one if you wanted to be able to work with us. But highly recommend. Yes, Michaela worked with us. Shouts out. She said she's a third year and she found she had the one-on-one very helpful. So thank you so much for that, Michaela, and letting everyone know that you had a great experience there. But yeah, so just feel free to check out our website. We are continuing to put more blog posts on the website as well. So our schedule for that is we're working on doing blog posts once a week. So kind of in addition to the newsletter, in addition to us hopping on Instagram, we're really just trying to make sure that we're checking in on you guys. Our most recent email from last week from the newsletter, where it was like an honesty hour and we wanted to chat with you. Y'all have been so honest in our email inbox. It's like, I think very touching to me personally, and I know Trisha would say the same, that you guys trust us enough to really share what you are sharing with us in the emails, and that you like really are just connecting with us and really like enjoying what we're doing, because for us this is all for you. So to know that you guys are enjoying it and just feel comfortable sharing with us, honestly makes me feel really great that we are a part of this journey with you. So that's all I have for today. So I just wanted to hop on, say hello, and as I said, we're going to actually probably make this available going forward if folks wanted to kind of like refer to it again to get those tips on maintaining your mental health going forward in the medical school application process. And as always, you can reach us, Dual Degree Docs. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Pinterest. We have our website, dualdegreedocs.com. We have our email, dualdegreedocs@gmail.com. So all of that, feel free to reach out. We are always, always, always happy to chat. That's all I have, and hope you guys all have a really good night. All right, talk to you later.